Hi everybody, welcome. It's been a long time. There we go. It's been a long time. Bodai, thank you for watching an ad. You should get YouTube Red, then you don't ever see any ads on YouTube, and it's awesome. I have to move the chat room here so I can see it. Right now it's way over there. Okay, how's everybody doing? Bill, it's been a while since I've done one, so I'm not surprised. Okay, I think okay. It's been a while since I've done this. I've been super busy. Working on some new stuff, and my schedule has been bonkers. But anyway, tonight I was finishing up some work. I was watching and sort of listening to Gaz Williams, his Eurorack show that he does on Monday nights now on YouTube. If you haven't checked it out, YouTube, go Gaz Williams. It's awesome. But basically, he just sort of goofs around trying to learn to figure the stuff out. It's awesome, and that's kind of what I do in these things too. And so he inspired me to set my stuff up once I was done with work and do a live stream. So that's what I'm doing. I do have some new toys in here to play with. There's these guys here. These two things. These are oscillators. Sorry for the red tape, but I had to cover up the graphics. I have these guys here, this is on here it's called Mixer MXRR. It's sort of the next version of the 2+2 mixer. It's just super, super complicated. Tons of features in 4 HP, 4-channel mixer. And I'll go over all this stuff. This one is called Smash. It is a filter with a ton of character and drive. I'll go over that one too. These little 4 HP black modules, these are PCB panels, and the original idea for these was sounds weird. The original idea for these was that we were going to do a small line of modules that allowed us to get out sort of ideas, like sort of works in progress, little sub-circuits basically, and try to just show you how we kind of come up with these larger projects that we're working on. And so the idea was to do that. So I had some of these PCB panels made up, and the modules underneath are production prototype modules. But these panels are terrible. They look bad. They feel bad. I don't like them. The only redeeming factor, the only redeeming thing with these panels is I put a ruler on the side of them in millimeters, because I never have any rulers on my desk when I need one. And most of the time when I make these prototype panels, I always end up making way more than I need. So I thought, well, at least I'm not going to end up using them for panels probably, but at least I'll have a ruler when I'm done. So that was kind of the idea of the graphic. But the production versions of these aren't going to have these terrible graphics. We're doing really nice, really cool panels. They have totally different names, totally different graphics. I think you're going to like them. And the idea with these 4 HP modules, and we have a whole series of these that are going into production next week, and they're going to sort of come out as a set, is that we're only making like 100 or 150 of them, and then we're going to move on and do something else. Because these, again, like I said, these are sub-circuits that we're using in other projects, larger projects that we're working on right now. And it's a way for me to test these circuits in an environment that's not necessarily my breadboard at the shop. I can test it in my system. I can send them around a couple of our beta tester guys, have them check them out. And once they're cool, then, of course, we're going to do the small run of them. And that's really just because we've done all the work anyway, and these circuits are really cool, and they kind of deserve to stand on their own before they get tied into the larger project, mostly because once they're in the larger project, they don't end up being the same thing. Because you have to design these larger instruments you design to the instrument. So a feature might get removed, or a feature might get changed, or the sound might change. So I think these guys, they stand well on their own. I have 2 in my system right now, the Mixer and the Smash. There's another one on the way that I'll have hopefully for next week. So if I do another one of these next week, I'll have the other one, and just check them out and we'll see what we think. Yeah, and they're 4 HP, so they sound really good. So anyway, what else do I have in my case? If you haven't watched any of these live streams in a while, and I haven't done them, but if you didn't see the last one, this module down here, and there's 2 of them in my system. I called it the Local Florist, and what it is it's a flanger chorus. So flanger, chorus, florist. That's as clever as I can be. But I thought, Local Florist is kind of a fun name, so I figured, well, let's do some interesting graphics. I put some flowers on here, and it's nice. This module sounds amazing. I'm going to play a lot with this module tonight because it does really sound very, very cool. This one, I get a lot of emails about from the last couple live streams saying, hey, I want this, I want this, I want this. So as of today, I think last week or a week and a half ago, The panels went into production, and today we ordered 110 of these modules. So again, this is sort of a limited run thing, but I wasn't going to do any, but it really is a kind of a special little thing. So there'll be 110 of them after everybody at Pittsburgh Modular gets one. There'll probably be about 100 to go around because I want a couple. These graphics, we're not going to use the same graphics for the short run that's on here, mostly because the way these graphics look, and it's tough to see on the video, but the graphics have sort of a rain-washed effect, and that's because my printer at work sucks. But we did do 3-color printing, which we've never done 3-color printing. The panels are ridiculously expensive, but we thought, you know what, it's a special little module. We're only going to make 110 of them or so let's do it. So those are coming. We have, as far as module updates go, because I haven't chatted with you guys at all in a while. More micro sequences on the way, more primary oscillators on the way, and more SV1s on the way. There are no voltage labs on the way as of right now. And I get emails every day asking for voltage labs. Unfortunately, though, the way the voltage labs were manufactured last time, it's not doable again. So there had to be quite a bit of redesign that went into the voltage lab, so to get it to be able to manufacture it and scale. So it's in process of happening, and it has a slot for manufacturing, and we will make them. They're going to be a bit different. We're calling it the Voltage Lab 2, but it's good. It's good. You're going to like it. Let's patch out of here. Have some other fun toys coming in the pipeline pretty soon too. So now you've been listening to this thing sort of for the last, I don't know how long you've been paying attention to the live stream here. So I just patched, I didn't even turn any knobs, and this thing instantly sounds amazing. That's the Florist. Local Florist is a Bucket Brigade-based flanger course. It's using a single 1024 stage BBD chip. But the key is it's different from our, say, analog delay unit because we had to redo the resonance circuits. And quite actually, we ended up redoing quite a bit of it. But the resonance is completely different. The feedback circuit's completely different because it needed to be really hyper controlled so that we could get really, really long tails. Now turn my reverb off here. Super fun. Right now, the basic, this is going to be the beginning of this patch. So let's explain what's going on here. And I'm probably going to change this, but I'll explain to you what I'm doing. How am I getting the random gate? Well, what I'm doing is I'm patching out of, in the double helix up here, I'm patching out of the random output into the impulse input. So the impulse input triggers, but it only triggers after a certain point. So you don't get every change. You just get every now and then. So it ends up being really nice and random. We're listening to the blade wave here. We're not going to be doing the channel drivers, if anyone's curious. The channel drivers, they need some really weird parts that we just can't source. So, unfortunately, these are going to live in my system only for now. But and the fact that we couldn't do these channel drivers kind of inspired the Smash module up here. I wanted that same vibe. I wanted to be able to just push things to the bonkers extremes, and because I couldn't do it with this ends up being the next best thing. So why don't we patch that in and see what it sounds like, because it's super cool. And we'll start a new thing here. So I'm going to grab a sine wave from this random oscillator. We'll patch in. We will go to just use the VCA from the SV1B here. I wish I could zoom in. I can't really. I can't reach the camera. The camera I'm using for this, the camera I use for this it's sort of really not designed for this kind of thing. It's all manual zoom and everything, so it kind of is. It's kind of stuck. I gotta set it and forget it. I do have a new camera on order and a new lens on order, so I should be able to do quite a bit more in the future, and it should be a lot sharper in the future too. But for now, when you use a cinema camera, this is kind of the look you get. That's okay. We'll do a little sequence here. Since we have more than one thing, so let's change how we're clocking this guy. We'll now use the random from the voltage lab to trigger this. Hopefully. When I had these panels made, the holes for the drive and the mod, I made them too small, so they're really hard to turn. Good times. So what these modules are, they are a filter. But with a crazy overdrive circuit at the beginning. So right now we're just listening to a saw wave coming out of this guy. There, that's pretty exciting. And as we increase the drive here. So warm, so creamy. That's, oh, it's so good. Yeah, so it's an overdrive circuit. That allows you to clip it really hard before you get into the filter. But the drive circuit is able to contain it so that you don't get any sort of bad distortion from clipping the filter in a negative way. So I could give it, let's put a sine wave through it. And you'll be able to hear it. So a sine wave, you're not going to get a whole lot of harmonics out of it. But as we bring up this drive, it sounds really, really tasty. So this is just a big, big filter, because this is a sine wave we're listening to. I'm going to put a triangle wave in. Add some modulation from the envelope here. Cleans up nicely too. And again, the idea of this is just, I wanted something with a little bit of aggression and push that I could get with the channel driver, but it's something that was maybe a little bit more dynamic and less static, because the channel driver, it doesn't, there's no modulation inputs. It's just basically a preamp and an EQ. So this gives me some modulation to work with, and you can end up with a really dynamic, overdriven sound. cool. We can even try it here with the wave folder. Yeah, so the drive filter thing is 4 HP. I was also inspired a bit by this oscillator because the oscillator has a different type of drive circuit, but it has a drive circuit built into it as well. So if I take the modulation out and just go into the filter here, and we take the output, we're taking the output of the fold, and we'll just pass it into the circuit here. We can get similar effects using nothing but the oscillator. So we're triggering the oscillator with the envelope here. We're triggering the drive circuit in the oscillator. Now this isn't the same type of circuit. It's sort of its own beast. But working on this one was another reason inspired me to come up with this smash circuit. So much low end in this sound, oh my god. So I don't know if I've talked too much about this oscillator. This thing is absolutely over the top. In every possible way. It is a hot rod. Yes. My coaster. Yeah, so to talk a little bit about this oscillator, and I have two of them here, they're both exactly the same. They're covered in red masking tape and Sharpie. But ignoring that, what can I do here? Okay, so turn this down momentarily here. So talking about the oscillator, it is kind of it was meant to be an over-the-top kind of kitchen sink oscillator, and just to have a huge amount of character to it. And again, just ignore the red masking tape and the Sharpie. I had to cover the graphics. But you have all the basic, geometric waveforms you would expect. Sine, triangle, saw, pulse, with pulse width. And then you have a fully fledged wave folder and then this overdrive circuit. And the nice thing about the folder and the overdrive circuit is the inputs are fully patchable. So you could use them with anything, or you could use them at any points in the signal path. So you could patch in, like right now I'm patching out of the fold into the drive circuit. And then I'm using the drive circuit as a VCA. We could take this guy even one step further, because I have two local florists, so it's a shame to, you know, only use one of them. Let's see here. Everything is modulating. Not sure if we're going to create anything that could be described as interesting music tonight, but it is fun to play with this set of toys here. We'll mute the local florist momentarily and go back to this guy. So instead of patching out through the drive, we just come out of the fold circuit here. It's gonna The fold circuit in here is very similar to the one used in the voltage lab. A few minor differences in the overall sound. Really tweaked out to work well with this guy. We can, because it's fully patchable, we could patch, say, a triangle wave in there. That's nice. Can modulate this. Six hours. I don't know, Yotis. I don't think I can make it that long. You would also have to quarantine for 2 weeks before you could come in my home, so that would be awkward. So this is without an envelope or without a VCA at all. We're just listening to this wave folder. And we're modulating it a bit, which is nice. So again, let's come out of the drive circuit here. Now this is, the drive circuit is, if you don't patch anything into the input, it's normal to the triangle wave. So you can hear how much overdrive I put in this thing. If we're starting with a triangle wave and this is where we end up. Thanks, Cat Scan Meow. I love these things. So maybe instead of using this second local florist, we could go through one of these analog delay units. We'll use the one that's in the voltage lab because it's right there, but it's the same thing. And then we'll patch that fold back in. Just a touch of it. So if we go to dry on the delay, this is just that oscillator. It has such a cool sound. It has such a cool vibe to it. I'm a big fan. It's 14 HP, so it's not the skinniest oscillator in Euroland, but I think it earns every HP. And it really quite a bit, because you could use it, you could use the oscillator separate from the folder, separate from the drive. The drive makes a great preamp. So you could use the drive circuit as a preamp to boost up signal levels. And there's a ton of uses for this stuff. Again, not the same drive circuit that's in the Smash module. It definitely has its own vibe to it. But you know, you don't want to do the same circuit and everything. So, but this is an example of, you know, as we're sort of designing this, you get these crazy ideas. And you're like, hey, what if I want to try this? Well, now with these little guys, we're going to do that. Notice, is there any price on the florist? No, there's no price yet because we just ordered them, and I haven't actually looked to see how much they cost. But they're going to be expensive. There's absolutely no doubt. I think the panels for really expensive. I can't remember an exact number, but the panel for the florist, I think, was about the same as like the touch controller panels. They're ridiculous. But we wanted to do 3-color printing, and we wanted them to be really cool. So, because they're sort of the beginning of this kind of celebration that we're going to do towards the beginning of the year. And so we wanted them to kind of be like a memento, or I don't want to say a trophy because that's not the right word. I'm not sure what word I'm looking for, but yeah, we wanted them to be special. And so yeah, they're going to be expensive. They're not going to be cheap. We're only making 110 of them, and I'll probably have a couple of those. Like I said, we'll probably end up selling about 100 of them. The rest will just go out to the crew and myself. I think we need more sounds. Let's do another one of these smashes. But let's try it. This is something I haven't tried yet. Let's try them with a kick drum. So I may have to reroute some things here. stop it for a minute. So now we can cleanse our ears. Ah, that's nice. Before it gets totally out of hand. Oh, there we go. Favorite kick drum, which is the low pass gate patched into the smash. And you always, when you're using the low pass gate for a kick, you don't have to, but I always like to run it through a low pass filter just to roll off some of the snap you get from the sweeping the low pass gate, because the way you're getting that kick sound is you're basically pinging that Vactro and sweeping the full spectrum of the frequency, and so you want to roll off some of the high end. So I was running through a filter up here, but because we can overdrive the hell out of this now, oh yeah. Sounds nice. I wish I have the binary filter. I don't have the filter module in this rack. I have a big system at the shop that I have all of our modules in. But I try to keep the system usable, so I keep it within 420 HP, so I'm constantly swapping stuff in and out of here, trying to, because I'm always experimenting with new things. So this is sort of I don't have a ton of music gear at home, so this is the system I have at home. I don't want it to get that much bigger, although I think I'm gonna put another 420 on top of this one, because I have been pushing the limits, and we have some much larger modules coming out in the coming months, and I'm going to need room to test them. So I probably will end up putting a second 420 on top of this, sort of angled upside down, to make my mission control. How many? Yes, we do have cascading delay networks left. I don't know how many. Maybe 10 or 15 left. There's not a ton left, but there are still a few here and there. So let's add another sound to this. And let's try another thing that I haven't tried yet with this smash is we're going to use make a hi-hat sound with it. So So we'll come with a high pass out of the smash. And we're going to use the dynamic impulse filter, but we're just going to use it in VCA mode. And we'll just pull off some, we'll make this simple hi-hat. We'll just pull off some noise from the voltage lab. And we'll trigger this dynamic impulse with the ADSR. Not going to win any ingenuity awards for this patch, but that's okay. This is, I'm sure you guys do too. You have your sort of favorite sounds that you go back to time and time again. And noise hi-hats, definitely something that I do all the time. Whoa, that's a lot of reverb. Let's modulate that to get a little bit of movement going on. We'll just use the sequence. The CV out from the sequence we're listening to. Most of the time when I do the hi-hat though, I don't use an ADSR. I typically like to use a function generator because that gives me, I can voltage control the length of the sound. So let's do that instead. We'll use this function generator right here. Put it in trigger mode. And we will use that. Turn the reverb down. I don't think we need that. And we can just modulate it with, I got the world's shortest modulation cord here. Let's get a different patch cable. You know, we're not using that random anymore in the double helix. We'll just do it with that. There we go. I think because we are amplifying noise, the overdrive of the Smash doesn't seem to have quite the effect because it's already noise anyway. If anything, it's just boosting the signal level, and that's okay. It seems kind of like a waste of an overdrive circuit, but I think it sounds really nice. I usually do full resonance when I do the hi-hat sounds. So that's what we have going on here. Yeah, another 420. The problem is when I do these videos, I kind of sit right in front of it below. Like here's my head. Probably have seen it popping up. And if I would zoom out to have a second cabinet, I'm gonna have to reconfigure everything and sort of stand up, and it'll be a different thing. But I guess it's always a different thing. The table it's sitting on right now it's kind of wobbly anyway, so that's why it keeps shaking all the time. So I guess it's gonna have to change anyway, but what are you gonna do? So if we patch out of here, so now I'm just gonna use, I hate to talk about a mixer during a live stream because it seems boring, but I guess we are making them, so I might as well talk about them. So the mixer, which the mixer and the Smash aren't going to be named that when the modules come out. They have silly names now, and the production modules have even sillier names. But for now, they sort of explain what they do. So the mixer module is, if you're familiar with our 2+2 mixer, it's very similar to that, where you have two channels at the top, two channels at the bottom, and you can patch it as one 4-channel mixer or two 2-channel mixers or 2 independent attenuators and a 2-channel mixer or 4 independent attenuators. I had one in here, I took it out. And we've always done that. It's always been 8 HP. It's a great utility module. This one, however, is 4 HP, and we've added attenuverters. So all 4 channels are now attenuverters, so you can add or subtract audio or CV. That's the difference. So it's just one more feature added to it. And I think going down from 8 HP to 4 HP for a mixer is a big deal, because it's teeny tiny and you can fit one anywhere. You do have to use these sort of kind of dumb trim pots, which I think work fine. Like in the context of the Voltage Lab, I thought they worked fine because they were sort of for CV, and in the cascading delay network, it makes sense because it's CV. So that was the sort of design language I had in mind for these controls, and that's how I use it on the Smash. But here, it's all that would fit. I couldn't fit a full pot because it's so dense. So I had to use these, but they work just fine. And again, it allows you to get your fingers in there, and it's 4 HP. I try not to spend a whole lot of time, Elijah, actually reorganizing stuff, because I do end up swapping stuff in and out all the time. And for these live streams, a lot of times I'll have to take a module or 2 out that I can't show yet. So I end up pulling stuff in and out way more than I want to. If this was truly my home system, it would be the same modules in here all the time. I don't think you can see it, but behind me here, right there, is another modular, And that system hasn't changed in years. It's sort of a special system, though. That's a lot of other stuff in it, but I love that it's become this instrument to me, and it doesn't need to change. Now, not everybody has the pleasure of infinite number of cases, but when can I tell you about the big changes coming soon? When it's time. I think when that'll happen is when these are released, which they've gone into production, so I don't know when they're going to be available and announced, but they are in production now, so it can't be that much longer. A lot of that stuff is out of my control at this point. I'm just sort of doing my part. But as soon as I can, yeah, because there's some freaking awesome stuff coming in the pipeline. I don't know how it looks in the outside world as far as what Pittsburgh Modular's been up to, but we have been working our butts off on new stuff. There's so much really, really cool, really, really interesting sounding stuff coming out. Like I said, a lot of bigger stuff that we've been really lucky to have the opportunity to work on some really, really amazing projects. And as soon as I can share them with the world, I'm absolutely going to. This is sort of just the absolute tip of the iceberg. Oh, Pete, that's nice to hear. Yeah, the VRL is something that I'm unbelievably proud of. And as it's turned out, it's really opened up a whole new level of opportunities and creativity for Pittsburgh Modular and my designs and Michael's designs. So it's taken a lot longer than we anticipated, but I think that's the world right now. But the VRL allowed us to do all this amazing stuff that's coming up, and there will be a Voltage Lab too. The design is finished. It's not quite in production yet, but the design for it's done. There's a couple projects before it. There's only, you only have so much kind of manpower to do this stuff, and the scale that we're going to be doing stuff on is kind of different now. So there's a lot more to take into account too. But as is fun. We're going to do some super, super cool stuff. As a sneak peek, I guess. It's not a peek, I'm not going to show you anything. But I can tell you that a few months ago, I don't know, every day feels like a few months now, but maybe a month or two ago, I designed all new knobs for Pittsburgh Modular. All new knobs. We designed them from scratch with the idea that we will own the molds and we can do different colors. We can do any color we want. We just pick a Pantone color and that's what that module will have. So we're not limited to one color or two or three or four, however, like the Rogan knobs that everyone uses, you're limited to 4 or 5 different colors. We won't have any of those limitations. So that's something that I was wildly nerdy about. And it was like the coolest thing in the world to design. To the point where I sent my brother a text message, told him I'm doing the coolest thing I've ever done in my whole life. I'm designing knobs for synthesizers. And I think he thinks I'm a little weird, but that's all right. That is A-okay. I think we need more sounds. Should break it down. That's nice. That's just focusing on that kick drum. And you can open up the frequency a little bit. Yeah. There's so much drive in that. So this would be normally how this sounds, which is, there's so much low end, it's fantastic. We can add some more there. The trigger sequencer has 4 channels. We did 4 different sizes, any color I want. So that gives you an idea of how much we're changing things up and how much things are going to be different. Because we've used these knobs now for 9 years. So to say, no, let's do some different knobs, that's a big deal. But absolutely worth it. What do I have going on here? So now this sound we're hearing, I'm just triggering it with the percussion sequencer. I'm triggering the dynamics controller here, which is filtering this primary oscillator. So this sound is all voltage lab. I think what we're going to do is take our kick off a 3, put it on 6. And stick this guy on 3. Get a little more gain for it. Yeah, the VRL does amazing bird sounds. If you watched the Kickstarter video, you heard my interpretation of VRL bird sounds. It's one of my favorite patches. More modulation. We got to get this other sequencer working here. Something with the percussion sequencer that I like to do for a patch like this, it's kind of, there's a lot of big sounds going on, and I don't want to necessarily sit here and program in a bunch of random patterns or a bunch of patterns. What I can do is I can just use my channel effects and do maybe an add drop or a morph, so that the kick pattern is just going to sort of work its way through. And I could do the same thing with the voltage lab sound. Select a morph here. And just sort of let it change and evolve over time. See where it goes. get into that Verb territory. You have the FM and the ring mod on between the two oscillators, and you just hit the secondary oscillator with some use it as an LFO, but modulate the FM. So I'm using a sample and hold. Just get some random into the FM for the pitch. And you can hit that wild animal patch pretty easily. Yeah, that's totally it. Green Heavy Canvas, if you bought the first VRL, first of all, thank you. And no, you don't need to buy the second one. You may want to, but you don't need to. They're going to be they're going to sound the same. The redesign of the VRL was driven by manufacturing logistics more than anything else. There are some changes, but they're, well, you'll see when it comes out. You're not gonna mistake them visually, that's for sure. I like how the Voltage Lab is using this analog delay, and I'm using this analog delay here that's actually in the Voltage Lab. I'm using that for these oscillators. It's funny how patches kind of evolved that way. Everything ends up, I try to keep things clean and logical, but it gets out of hand so fast. What can you do? My kick pattern seems to be evolving quite a bit here. Let's shut some of these off and let it start over. I don't know how I made all these sounds. I don't think I made... There's no bass. Where's the bass? I think I'm going to change the... What should I do for a bass here? Well, I still have the SV1, which I think would make a fine bass. But of course the ADSR and the VCA from the SV1 are being used. So I'm going to have to duct tape something together here again. Let's see if we have to use the dual dynamics controller here, and that's fine. One of these channels in this prototype is super bleedy though, so I gotta figure out which one it is and use the other one. We'll just use it in VCA mode because I want to use the binary filter. We use the touch controller for the pitch of our hopefully bass line here. We have to use this ADSR way up here because that's the one I have left. That's okay. To split the clock signal again so that I can drive my touch controller. Let's see what we can do for a bass line here. Let's shut off some of this other stuff. Oh no. I don't know why I've got all blurry. There we go. That's a nice sound. That's a bass sound. I like that the filter is being triggered by a different envelope, playing a totally different pattern than the envelope triggering the VCA. That's nice. It gives it some depth. know if the bird sound works anymore. That dream may be over. It's sort of a... That's weird. I like it. Yes, Yotis, these are the same as the pink one that was up here. The difference is these are production prototypes, which means they were built by robots, where the other one was the first hand-built prototype. These are the actual production prototypes. The production units will be exactly the same, except for 4 resistor values have been changed. Just because we can never stop tweaking things. The status of the local florist is they went into production today, and they're going to be expensive. They sound great. Yes, they do. Thank you, Bill. That's what's making that sort of strumming sound right now. That little spacey lead sound is the double helix up here patched through the local florist. This is what it sounds like without the local florist. So that's that's the sound that the double helix is making. Maybe not my proudest sound, but let's turn the local florist back on, and that's with the local florist. It just needs. There you go. This is the seed that it needs. That's great. So that's what the local florist can do for you. Bill, you're absolutely right. That's what it is. The local florist is a BBD flanger chorus that we've sort of run away with, so it ends up having a lot of spring reverb type vibe to it. Because the feedback circuit is so controlled, you can get these really, really long decays out of it. And that's what gives it that reverb, that spring reverb sound. Otherwise, it does have a very chorusy vibe to it. you know, if I turn down that feedback, you do have that real nice chorus sound to it. And we could turn down the modulation a little bit here. But then you add that awesome feedback circuit. And you change the delay time. Yeah. Spring reverb. I like it. The local source isn't on modular grid yet because the panel that the final module is going to be isn't this panel. I had to change the graphics a bit. I made them way better. It's still the same basic design, but the color scheme and everything has been changed. They're beautiful. But we didn't do prototypes, so I don't have one to photograph. So as soon as I get one to photograph, I'll stick it up there. And as soon as I have one to photograph, I will turn on the pre-orders. Because like I said, it's in production now. So theoretically, it should be about 2 months before they're on sale. Maybe a little bit less, but with the world around us, probably not less. Yeah, I think calling this a chorus is, I don't think that's really a good description of it. But yeah, I'm with you. I think the only chorus, no, that's not true. I have an analog Boss chorus pedal. But most of the time when I add chorus, it's in Ableton and it's, you know, it's a plugin. I think that's why this struck me, because this originally was a circuit that was going to be used in an upcoming synthesizer. And unfortunately, so we had to prototype it because I had to hear it, because we hadn't done this before. Unfortunately, when I heard it, although I was blown away with how it sounded, it was absolutely the wrong circuit for the vibe of the instrument we were working on. So it didn't go into that, but that said, this will find its way into other things because it's too good. This one particular synthesizer that I was working on at the time a few months ago, it just didn't make sense. So that instrument, we ended up putting an analog delay in, which for that instrument was the absolutely correct effect to put in. And it sounds really good. Evan the Florist is a flanger chorus / fake spring reverb. It's a BBD chip with sort of a hyper-controlled feedback, so you can get some really tight sounds out of it. So if I just unmute the right channel. So this is the sound coming out of this guy. It's sort of an odd, sad, angry sound. We'll change it up a little bit here. It's a very FM-y. We can even make it a little tighter here. So this is the dry sound coming out, and now going into the local florist, you get this. Get it to self-oscillate. It will. But it doesn't like to. It's not its thing. We decided to get as absolutely close as we could and let it hang there for as long as we could get it to do that. So you have a mix out, you also have a vibe out, which is just the delayed signal. So if you want to feel like you're getting seasick, it's a good one. Every time I turn the beat back on, the compressor that the modular is patched into just kicks in, so that the signal level just plummets. Oh, by the way, my signal, if you're interested at all, coming out of the modular, I have two things. I'm not using it right now. The reverb, as always, is my Elise's Verb 2, which I'm absolutely in love with. I've tried to replace it with a few different things. The Strymon Blue Sky, I thought sounded great, but the volume wasn't quite enough. And I've had some other stuff, some Eventide, and I've had every sort of cheap to mid-range rack mount 80s and 90s reverb, and none of them have the vibe that this Elise's Verb 2 has. So it's found a permanent home in my setup. It's so good that Herman picked one up because, you know, we influence each other. And then the output of this goes from the output of the mixer here through a compressor and then into my audio interface. The compressor I use is the really nice compressor, and it sounds really good. It's really nice. Yeah, I really like that Big Sky. That Strymon stuff sounds amazing. The problem is I run it in an effects loop here at modular level, and it just, I couldn't get, without boosting it with the preamp, I couldn't get the gain up coming back, where the mini Verb has no problem operating at eurorack levels. I usually use, on the mini Verb 2, I usually use patch 28. Long and dark, I think it is. Maybe it's medium. But I like the really long, washy, because I'm just using it for atmosphere. There's some mini Verb there. For stuff like this, you know, when you have weird sounds like this that just are sort of background, you add that mini Verb and oh, it just sounds so good. It's just fun. I love it. This is patch 28, which is normally the patch that I use. If anybody else out there has the MIDI Verb 2, is there a way to change the default that when it turns on? When mine turns on, it turns on at 16 every time, and I don't think I've ever used 16. I don't know. I would pull it out. It's a fun toy. Obviously, there's a million reverbs out there that are cleaner and more reverby, but it has such a great sound to it. It's such a great vibe. It's a little noisy, especially when you're running at eurorack level, but it sounds so good. I'm a fan. It's one of those bits of gear that makes me excited to use other things, and I think that's important, because I'm clearly, as a musician, I'm clearly a hobbyist, and so anything that gets me excited to sit in front of my modular or any synth really and just approach it as a musician is great, because a lot of times I have my sort of engineering or designer hat on and I'm looking for different things and I'm trying to tweak stuff, but it's nice to have something that just makes me want to play around and not think like that and just enjoy the process. I think we gotta work on this sound. That's a little better, just less. Maybe a different waveform is what we need. I'm a big fan of the triangle wave through the warp. It's got a really interesting sound to it. What's my favorite non-Pittsburgh module? I think it's the Livewire all-frequency generator. That seems to be the one that I reach for the most often. I have behind me here, I have a system that's mostly Livewire modules. I don't think I have every Livewire module. I have just about all of them. I would say that's what it is. It's sort of an old school module at this point. Livewire's been around for a long, long time, but it sounds amazing. And as far as sound design and exploring what you can do as far as shaping an oscillator. The AFG has so many options. It's fun to play with. So I would probably go for that. Yotis, I'm glad we could entertain you here. So I think the patch we made tonight's pretty good. We got to experiment with the smash filters. I didn't really need too many mixers, so I didn't get to dig too far into the mixer module, but you know, that's kind of the idea with utility modules, is they're there when you need them. And I used it, so that should count. Played with the local florist. I didn't use the channel drivers, but you can't use everything in every patch, maybe? I don't know. But overall, I'm relatively happy with this. It was fun. I learned a couple new things. And it was cool hanging out. Yeah, well, the Smash is going into production next week. Perry's on vacation this week, so when he gets back from vacation, he will finalize that stuff. And then those will go out. I think I'm going to submit the panels for production tonight. And, yeah. Evan, have we thought about doing more artsy panels like that in the future? Oh, just wait. Oh, just wait. If you were around earlier in the stream, I was talking about I've designed all new knobs for Pittsburgh Modular with the idea that we can do, it'll be our own design knobs, and we can do different colors of inserts on them. Any color I need per module. So, you know, I can pick any Pantone color and we can do modules with that Pantone color in the knob. And that is really opening up quite a bit in the design language of Pittsburgh Modular and some other projects I'm working on as well. I'm designing several lines of products right now, not just for Pittsburgh Modular, but for some other people as well. And they're all really fun, and they're going to sound really good. But it's interesting because they're all kind of different approaches. We're all kind of the same idea of, hey, let's do this, but very different approaches on how to do it. And so it's allowing us to do some really interesting design things that didn't make sense for Pittsburgh Modular in the past. But absolutely makes sense now. So, I don't know if that helps. More of that information is going to sort of come out as the modules and the instruments that we've been working on are announced and released, and it'll all make sense. But until then, we are going bonkers behind the scenes getting this stuff done. Yeah, so I think I'm going to shut it down. I feel like this patch has gone as far as it can go tonight. It was fun to build. If I kept going, I would have to strip it down and start over, and I don't think I'm going to do that. So the Voltage Research Richard, nice name. The Voltage Research Lab 2 design is finished, and it has been submitted for production, but there is a line of products ahead of it. So probably middle of next year, maybe? I don't know. But it's finished and it's really good. It's really good. It's the same vibe as the Voltage Research Laboratory, just slightly different to allow us to do some, allow us to change some of the manufacturing side of it a little bit. And it looks It doesn't look anything like the original one did. If you have the original one, that's sort of it's a magical little box. Well, cool. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I keep wanting to do more and more of these, but my schedule has been absolutely crazy. But I'm going to try to squeeze one in, especially now that Herman and I aren't doing the Sunday night jams, at least for the foreseeable future, as he heals up from his surgery. But I'll try to keep this stuff set up, and so I can just turn it on and go live and hang out with you guys. It's super fun. The alien saws are pretty bonkers on that thing. Yeah, some of the naming conventions that those guys use are a little silly on purpose, I think. Sometimes it's not quite as crazy as the name suggests, but super interesting stuff. But anyway, thank you guys for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Good to be back doing this. I will talk to you guys shortly. Thank you very much.